Hello and welcome to this James the Bike Guy. Today we've got in front of us here a very revolutionary new bike from Specialized. A bike that they claim bridges the gap to eliminate your car and to haul your gear wherever you might need to go. In front of us is the new 2023 Specialized Globe Haul ST, an electric bike that proves to shake some things up, but we're going to take a look and see if those features and designs stack up, as well as we'll find out exactly what it weighs. So as we begin to check out this bike, I want to talk shortly about what the Specialized Globe model series is. Now, in the past, the Globe series was something that Specialized had come out with as their city and urban commuter style bikes. Those bikes were really focused around urban commuting, and e-bikes were not quite a thing. Now, for whatever reason, Specialized dissolved building any Globe bikes for quite some time, and I think this new one, the Haul ST, is a pretty fitting way to bring back the Globe series. Now, this bike that we have in front of us here is unique in a bunch of ways, but the first one that we'll start off with is that this runs 20-inch wheels. Although these are 3.5-inch wide tires, it offers a rear hub motor, this big motor as Specialized calls it. They always like to have nice, fun names on things. And then an absolutely gigantic battery at 722 watt hours. Now that is massive, powering that rear wheel. And this bike, being the way that it is with attachments and things like that we'll talk about in a second, is designed around being able to carry 419 pounds. Now, Specialized does claim it has a theoretical top distance or top range of 60 miles, which is quite a ways, and I'm sure that's dependent on both weight as well as your terrain type. But the real thing that makes this bike unique with those 20-inch wheels, with that rear hub motor, is this is a Class 3 electric bike. Now, if you're not familiar, at least here in the US, we work with a Class 1, 2, and 3 series. So Class 1 is a 20 mile per hour e-bike, pedal assist only. Class 2 is 20 miles per hour with a throttle, so pedal assist or throttle power. And this bike in front of us is a Class 3, meaning 28 mile per hour pedal assist only. And that is, of course, unless you attach the optional throttle, which can be plugged into this port in the included wiring of the bike. And that throttle will power the bike up to 20 miles per hour on its own, or you can override it by pedaling and go up to 28 miles per hour. So that means that this is a hybrid of Class 2 and Class 3 when you have that optional throttle added. Because this bike is designed around carrying your gear up to 419 pounds, it does have a bunch of options to be able to carry stuff and add attachments. And Specialized has a pretty wide range of those attachments, everything from a kid's carrier for the rear rack to front baskets that mount onto these hard mounts on the head tube. Very sturdy setup. You've got spaces for additions on your fork, little bolts here for either additions or to run some bottle cages. Pretty cool to see. And all that integrates into a pretty neat setup. Now, because of the unique design of this, I suspect many of those parts you would have to get straight through Specialized to work, but it is pretty cool that they have all of those available. Along with that, another thing that I definitely like is the two-legged kickstands. You can see the kickstand operates on these two legs, holds your bike upright, so when you have gear on it, you're good to go. But if you were to pull the bike forward, kickstands pull up, and off you go. Now, of course, putting the kickstand down isn't too bad. Just press it down with your foot, roll the bike back, and you'll see it locks right back into place. Now, going on from that, we should talk about sizing because this bike is only available in a single size, so one size only. And that size theoretically ranges from 4'5" to 6'6". Now, that is an absolutely huge range, but they accomplish that in a couple of ways. You can see here on the fork, this is a modified threaded headset. So you may remember in previous times a threaded headset would be quill stem at the top, you adjust it up and down, lock it into place pretty much wherever you want. Same kind of idea under here. See, 15 to 20 Newton meters you need to torque the steerer down to. threaded headset, and then you've got these size measurements to be able to adjust the front end up and down to your height. The other neat thing that I think is pretty unique on this bike is the adjustable seat post. Now, every bike has these. They've got a little quick release you can open, you can raise that seat post up and down, but you'll notice this bike has two of them. It's got a lower seat post clamp here, which is an Allen key, and then that adjustable up top. Now, what that allows for is this is two-way adjustable, so it's telescoping. So that's how they're getting that pretty huge size range. And because that seat tube is on such an angle, you can see the saddle, almost if you look at it with my hand, is pretty far behind the pedals. So as you go up in seat post, that's actually extending the reach from the handlebar to the saddle. You do have these pretty cool fenders, lights that come on. They're only flashing because of the refresh rate on my camera. And out back, of course, a tail light, which is mounted just behind this MIK rack and the MIK racks. Pretty neat because that's the standard for the way things attach. So all sorts of things can be added to it, non-proprietary to Specialized. Up on the handlebars, you've got wide grips. I think that's an interesting feature. I mean, I have medium to smaller hands, but that is a super wide grip. Some trigger shifters to shift the 8-speed drivetrain that's on the back. And then on the left-hand side here, you can see this is a brand new bike, but you're gonna have 5 levels of assist. So on level 5, that's gonna be full power, which I can't wait to see how that feels. You can go all the way down to level 1, or even turn it off if you just wanna pedal. Of course, distance, you have your range, which it's claiming 77 miles here, but it hasn't really learned our terrain. And then an odometer as well. Pretty cool stuff to see with your miles per hour there. Well, with that all said, I think it's time to go pedal this bike, see how it feels, and then we'll find out exactly what it weighs. All right, I'm taking off for the first time with the Globe haul here. I've got it on 0 power. Let's go ahead, give it a little bit of beans, see what happens, move into 4, 5. Wow, it really does take off. There's quite a bit of power behind it. And I've got it in a little bit of a harder gear now. You can see it's picking up speed, no problem. We're getting 12, 14, 16. Wow. Oh, this thing's so fast. Wow, doing that one-handed, it gets going pretty quick. If you have any questions about power, I would not be worrying about that with this bike. Off we go. But I think in a much more comfortable mode in that 1 and 2, I'm surprised at how well that feels. So I'm going up a bit of a hill here, and those are feeling just fine. Gonna turn here up a hill, maybe a little bit more needed. Put it into 3. Man, I wish I had the opportunity to ride this weighed down with 420 pounds, because I think it would be a pretty impressive feeling. Where we are now, I'm riding it on 0 assist, trying to go up that same hill again. It's requiring some effort, but it does ride pretty decent with no assist. All right, time to cheat. Let's get 5. Woohoo! Man, this thing is so sweet. And now is typically the time that we would go ahead and talk about weights. But unfortunately, I have to admit, I was a bit too weak to be able to pick this bike up one-handed with the scale that I use to weigh bicycles. And that's because the bike comes in at a claimed weight of 77 pounds, and it is all of 77 pounds. And I should make a clear distinction when I was talking earlier about the 419-pound capacity of the bike. That capacity includes the weight of the bike and the rider. So that really leaves 342 pounds for the rider and cargo. So if you're a 200-pound person, it is still a pretty healthy 142 pounds theoretically you could carry on the bike. Well, anyways, it was really exciting and really fun to be able to ride this bike. I found it way more enjoyable and way more fun than I anticipated. A lot of times these bikes are not the most playful or engaging bikes to ride, and I was amazed at just how effective this was, both with the e-bike power, but the ability to put a smile on your face and have a good time. Well, if you enjoyed this video, please be sure to hit subscribe. You're here and you have been the whole time, as well as browse the channel. That way you can see more videos like this to check out as well.